drivers were sharing his luck. Teammate Kenneth Beckland was one of them. Unlike his teammate Francois Delacour, who seemed to struggle from problem to problem. After power steering failure, a broken turbo on stage 4 dropped Delacour out of the top 10.
It's a long way to go.
Yeah, for sure. But we lose 5 minutes, it's also a lot.
Even Toyota's Thomas Rodstrom on his home event was caught out. Was having more serious difficulties. He and Derek Ringer sliding around with some kind of traction problem.
No, we lost all the studs in the front tyres were completely gone after the long stage. It was very gravelly at the start and then icy at the end, so when you come in the ice with no studs, you've got no chance.
Left, 70. Any resolve?
Nothing, no. Use a Michelin, maybe.
The looks on the faces of the Pirelli engineers said it all. To make matters worse, the problem wasn't confined to McRae.
I find for me it's very dangerous. It's really crazy and not interesting to drive.
Fifth place in his Toyota Celica. Ari Vatanen, though, saw his rally end prematurely when he rolled his Ford Escort. It wasn't all good news for Subaru, though. Piero Liatti was forced to drive for most of one section with this puncture, which was changed at the next service halt.
No, the problem is this special stage, 50 kilometers for the finish, is the problem, the small rock, and the tire is completely off.
The Safari is the only endurance event in the World Championship, with helicopters allowed to land and offer assistance to the cars. Despite all the technical backup, the Ford team was quickly in trouble.
We have a few problems. One is overheating when I stop the car. And we have vehicles a shock absorber and a drive shaft as well. So at the moment we are having a little bit of problems.
Sure enough, Colin McRae discovered that speed isn't everything. He had a disastrous start to the second day. A faulty intercom meant that he missed a caution from his navigator Derek Ringer and had to call on the Subaru helicopter. By the time the cars reached the next service area, McRae was philosophical about his problems.
Yeah, we bent 3 dampers, we changed 2 in the stage and had to drive with 1 bent to the end.
And how much time has that delayed you by?
About, I think, 40 minutes from Tommy on the stage.
But still a long way to go.
Yeah, still a long way to go, yeah.
The end of the second leg saw the first major retirement among the championship contenders. Suspension failure on Carlos Sainz's Ford Escort had meant that he'd had to drive slowly through the afternoon sections. That had led to the engine overheating, and a dejected Sainz knew that his Safari rally was over. After that second place in Sweden, the Safari had promised so much, yet had ended so cruelly. Piero Liatti had a new co-driver, Fabrizio Pons, and the Italian pair was soon in the thick of things. The damage to the front of the Impreza a clue as to what happened.
We met 2 trees just in the middle of the road and they didn't move, so we banged into them.
Morning saw the spectacular and needless retirement of the leader. Intercom failure meant that McRae and Derek Ringer had to resort to hand signals, a system that obviously didn't work.
Well, it's crashed. I can't put it more bluntly than that. We don't know a lot more at the moment. He's come on the radio. Sounds pretty serious. Derek, they're both okay. That's the first thing, of course, but Derek said the car was very bad.
Ahead of McRae, the long walk back to face the music. Sweden's Thomas Rodstrom was the first to quit. Forced to run in the dust of a much slower Group N car, the almost inevitable accident put pay to what had been an encouraging performance. He'd been inside the top 5 on his very first visit to Greece.
It was a very easy corner and just off a little bit and then hit a big stone and then rolled.
McRae arrived at the next service halt, where the talk was of stage 6, or more correctly, one particular corner.
After the recce, we recce'd a certain way, which was correct, and then we came on the rally and the organisers had blocked that road. And we almost had an accident, went off the road trying to avoid the blockage.
Despite the warning sign, Patrick Bernardini's problems weren't down to his lack of experience, although having a co-driver to balance out a broken wheel is an advantage. The Italian Grifone team were also having their fair share of problems. Gilberto Pianezzola's door was only one of them. Rather more serious was this little incident. Tyres were becoming something of an issue. The rough Greek stages were making tyre choice difficult for all the teams. Mitsubishi, like Ford, were running on Michelin, while Pirelli tyres were used by the Subaru team. The Mäkinen-McRae battle was still going on, although the Scotsman would still lead at the end of day 2. Despite that, still very much on. Mäkinen might have led, but McRae was off in hot pursuit. Yet, for the second time in 1996, McRae was overdue at a service area. Then he turned up, minus the car.
We had an accident on the last stage about 2 kilometres from the end. That's it, finished.
So Thierry was left struggling until the end of the day, when the fault could finally be fixed. The stage continued, although just as in Greece it was Ericsson who would be affected the most by the events. In Greece it was steering damage, but this time it was a puncture. Again, just as in Greece, it would be Carlos Sainz who would stand to benefit.
Then after 24 we come into a very, very fast section and then just the tire explodes, so we had to stop and change, and we just managed before Carlos coming. It has been 5 seconds more we could have pulled out in front of him, but we couldn't manage, so we lost a lot of time there.
Guarding against a freak accident. Tommy Mäkinen was first on the road, which meant that he was sweeping the road of gravel for the others. Despite that spin and the conditions, Mäkinen was in the top 3 throughout the first morning. Surprisingly, perhaps, Kenneth Eriksson was the leading Subaru driver. The Thousand Lakes is another event which favours the Scandinavians, and Colin McRae wasn't enjoying himself. The visit to the FIA in Paris had interrupted his reconnaissance of the rally, and he was about to pay the price. His third crash of the year left Subaru with a repair bill of around $1 million, so no wonder McRae was whisked away to the motorhome.
I don't know whether it was a wrong note or a corner. There was something to do with the notes. We slid off the road and the car hit the bank and rolled over.
Championship finished now?
Yeah, it's finished now, yeah.
Harry Rovanperä, like Cutuleto, was another Finn in a Ford. He, though, was about to see his native country the wrong way up, and he retired soon afterwards. Bruno Thierry began superbly, second after stage 2 to Sainz. However, the all-too-familiar story wasn't long in coming. For Carlos Sainz, the water splash would be very different. Despite receiving the same warning as Mäkinen from the marshals at the stage start, Sainz approaches the water a lot faster and takes a more central line, with disastrous results. 2 minutes behind Sainz was the Subaru of Kenneth Eriksson. Would he too fall victim to the Bunnings water splash? Despite keeping to the right, just as Mäkinen had done, Kenneth tries to drive through too quickly and the water claims its second victim. By now, Sainz is out of the car and is watching events in disbelief. McRae is next and he approaches at speed. Moya tries to flag down the Subaru, and McRae's own gravel crew are on the left, urging him to take the right-hand line through the water to no avail. Colin's father, the former British champion Jimmy McRae, helps push the car clear of the water. Luckily, Colin keeps the engine running and is able to drive out of the stage.
Obviously the ford's far too deep. It was crazy to even think we could go through there. It's like a river, it's not a ford.
By now, Sainz, Ericsson and the others were getting angrier by the minute. Everyone, even David Richards, tried to help, but to no avail. Surely the organisers had no option but to cancel the stage. Thierry's spluttering engine told its own story, but the situation was now beyond a joke.
Yeah, it looks more like a boat race than a car race. It was absolutely unnecessary to have this deep water because we are all stopped here and maybe 5 or 6 cars destroyed the engine here, so we had to stop the rally.
Eventually the stage was cancelled, leaving the cars to drive on to the next stage in convoy. Bruno Thierry's car, though, would splutter on for a while.
Bruno, the engine sounds terrible.
Straight after the start, misfire. All the stage was misfire. You can hear.
Remo Rally in Italy, which began with the latest in a long line of prestigious retirements. Mäkinen, the newly crowned World Drivers' Champion, lasted only a kilometre.
So much too fast that it was just lifting a little bit over the crest and slightly side, just half a meter. But immediately there was a hell of a big concrete.
Tommy wasn't the only finished retirement on stage 1. Jarmo Cutuleto also crashed out early.
Bad luck, Jarmo. Bad luck. That's life.
Piero Liati on his home event was soon in second place, although the slippery gravel even caught him out. Italian Dalla Villa, who rolled his Toyota into retirement. Pianezzola, meanwhile, was dropping back, unable perhaps to stand the pace of top-flight rallying. Oriol's debut for Mitsubishi wasn't going well either.
We think it's a centre diff failure, and under the present rules, of course, we can't change it till tonight, so I'm afraid we're going to slip down the leaderboard a little bit here.
Rui Madeira's problems were a little more obvious. This off meant instant retirement. McRae, though, was where he enjoyed being, out in front and on the edge. He'd lead the rally into the third and final day, even if there was still the odd moment of over-enthusiasm. Huge crowds lined the mountain roads, and nearly all of them were there to cheer on one man, Carlos Sainz. However, after McRae and Mäkinen's retirements in Catalonia, it was Sainz's turn. Bruno Thierry was then left flying the Ford flag.
Louis was just before the corner and he said slowly, and even I was quite off the road because it was so slippery. I tell you, it was like ice.
Sainz and Moya were helicoptered back to Lloret, leaving the car still in the stage.
But it sounds as though in the roll they've damaged.
Mäkinen had a replacement co-driver after Haryana had injured his back in San Remo, although they too had a moment on Sainz's bend.
Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. If you're interested in more content like this, check out our back catalog of videos. We have hours and hours and hours of compilation videos, podcasts where you'll get news, you'll get my opinion on certain things, which who doesn't want to hear that. Check it out. If you would, like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads. We will be making more videos like this one. So, if you're interested, turn on notifications, like, subscribe, the works. And I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Love you. Peace.